I've been using Notion for many years now, and ever since I learned this one simple trick, I've basically rethought how I create everything in Notion, from the simple tasks to the full-on RPG system that I made in the past couple of videos. There is a whole understanding of how this little trick works that made me rethink how everything works. So in this video, we're going to be going over how to make a simple little tracker. And by that, I mean a little counter, so that when we press one button, it goes up by 1. When we press another button, it goes up by 5. When we press another button, it goes up by 20. So this is a simple little interface where it's 3 buttons and it's counting a number up. But the thing is, all of this will be done in a database line. So what's going to happen is I'm going to jump over to Notion, show you what it's going to look like, and then we're going to go through and actually build it up from there. So here we are in Notion, and this is what we're going to be making today. It's a very simple counter tracker. So what we're going to be looking at is this value right here, because what each of these buttons does is it adds a thing down here, adds a number there, depending on which button you press. So now it's going to go up to 6. Now it's going to go up to 26. And all it's going to do is act as a tracker. And this system here is the fundamental underlying structure of how I make all of my things. So we're going to go through and build this. So what we're actually going to do, go through, delete, and delete. So to start off with, what we're going to do is we want to make 2 different databases. We're going to put them both in line for here. So we'll call this one the main one, create another one, and we'll call this one the counter. We want to then delete all the properties of them. We'll empty out each of, actually we'll keep 1 so it makes it easier to write things. So we have 1 entry in both of these things that we can work with. This main entry we're actually going to call counting. And I'm just doing that so that we know which one we're going to be working with. So in the counting one, what we're going to do is we're going to then start by creating a relation to the actual counter underneath. And we're going to make sure that we can see it on both databases. That way we know where they're communicating with. And now, this aspect here, the actual connecting of them, is the fundamental underlying structure of everything. A lot of people, when they're making these relational databases, they go, okay, this piece of information could be used over in this database, and vice versa. But one of the aspects that I like to use it for is going even further and using the data that's getting transferred as a counter. So let's say I want to have a number here that is going to be the count. This is simply a number. This is a value that you write in the number. Might help if I actually put in numbers. And that is what that number is going to be. So we'll clear that out. And now what we're going to do is this bottom one, completely done already. We don't need to do anything else in regards to this lower database, so we can actually delete that row right there. This is completed. It's simple. All it's doing is tracking that relational value and then the number that's associated with it. So in the top one here, I'm going to create a button. Now these buttons are amazing. Ever since they started introducing them in Notion, I'm like, where can I put a button? So this button, we're just going to put it as +1. And what happens is when it's pressed, it's going to add a page to the counter, which is this one down here. We'll just put it as new entry. I like everything to have a name just because otherwise it gets weird when there's empty things. And then it's going to edit another property. The count is going to be 1. And then the relational is going to be to this specific page. So I'll show you what that means we can do after the fact, after this. So now, we have effectively done what is necessary to create a tracker. Except, we don't have any way to show it. So I'm going to go with a roll up. We're going to select the counter, which is the relational property here that connects to the other database. And then we're going to go to the count, which is this number here, which is what this +1 is adding to. And then finally, we're going to go calculate, more options, sum. We're also going to name that to the count. So just organize this so that it's a little bit neater. And what we're going to do now is if we press this 1 button, you'll see the bottom thing gets a new entry where the count value is 1. And now the overall count up here is also put to 1. And if we keep pressing that a few times, you'll see now there are 7 entries, so therefore that count is 7. Now, when you're doing this sort of interface, usually you right click here and then hide in view so this doesn't become a super long entry. I'm keeping it there just so you can see the inner workings of it. Now, once we have this, we can basically duplicate this button and change it to whatever we want it to be. So if we go here, edit the property, I'll make this plus 10. And all we're doing is down at the count, we're adding an extra 0. So now we press this, that number will become 17 because down here, you can see it entered a new entry that has 10. And that is how you can make a basic count. And one of the beautiful things about this is because it's just general math, you can actually go through -5 and change that so that it's -5. And now, if we click out here and press that, this should go down. Oh, I didn't save the property. My bad. There we go. So now it's adding a -5 every time we do. So you saw that it just counted down. And you can use this to make a tracker overall for like positive and negative habits. So if you do a positive one, you can add 1. If you do a negative one, you can -1. And this is a lot of how I did like my habits and the boss damage and whatnot in the RPG system. Again, if you want to see how that system works, there's a video linked in the description below that you can go and see now. The underlying structure is just this. It is these relational databases and these buttons that are creating values that are counting elsewhere. And overall, this is done. But now, what we can do is we can create a new value where it's counted. And let's say I just want this one to be super negative. I added all of these negative things, and you'll see they're only getting added to this bottom one here. Takes a second for it to update, but there you go. Now the top one is not changed, but the bottom one is. So you can use this to actually have a multiplayer aspect. So let's say you are tracking your like daily habits along with your friend. You have a shared database, and you just enter in your own one, and you can see the progress that you are making with that like those habits. Or you can go through and keep track of, okay, well, how much was spent here? How much was spent there? Or if you're playing a game, who scored what? Who's doing better? Who's doing worse? There are so many different ways that once you have this underlying structure of going, oh, buttons that add values to other databases that then you can then count. It changes everything once you start integrating this with anything that revolves around having an automated progress. I like to imagine this as, here is a save button. I press that, it's going to keep the save file, and then I can reference that save file in future things. This is how I track the health, the experience, the gold. All of these aspects in the RPG system is simply this. It's creating these quote-unquote save states that I can then use in other aspects of my designs and systems I make. So that is basically everything I wanted to show you today. This is a very, very simple little back and forth that you can create in any of your systems. And please, if you use this, show me what you've done. Share with me the actual project files. Tell me in the description below what you're going to be using it for, because I have no idea how far this can go. I've been using it nonstop in everything that I do. So any more suggestions and whatnot on how this can be used, please tell me, because I'd love to hear about it. Likewise, if there's any other type of problems you're having with Notion or anything you want to achieve, write in the description below what you actually want to do, because hopefully either other people in the comments can help you out, or if it's really that bad, I can try and figure it out here and share a video with you to show you how it all works. But yeah, once again, thank you for watching. If you want a full-on, like, in-depth system when it comes to this, I have a real-life RPG system, again, video linked in the description that you can check out, that I worked very, very hard on, that uses this as its fundamental sort of structure. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.